Welcome to episode 58 of Fans Talk TNA. My name is Nick, and I'm here with you to recap and review the December 9th episode of Impact Wrestling. The Fans Talk podcast family is supported by our Patreon subscribers, the Squared Circle of Trust. If you enjoy the content we're putting out onto the interwebs, you can join our little family by chipping in just $1 a month over on Patreon. With your pledge, you can help us cover the costs of recording, hosting, and distributing our episodes. You will get the entire archive for this series as well as others from the Fans Talk family and some other fun perks besides. Head on over to fanstalktna.com right now and find out more. Before we get started on this week of Impact, I just want to give All Booty Everything over on YouTube some kudos for the correction from last week on who Gail Kim would have faced had she advanced, that is Eric Young. I still think that would have been the same result. Eric Young and EC3 would have presented a similar obstacle to her, but yeah, I just want to thank him for pointing out that correction, and that was my bad. So this week on Impact, we just had 4 matches throughout the entire show, and I've got to be honest, that I didn't enjoy that. It would have been different if they'd packed in some other content, some X Division stuff, some tag team wrestling, some knockouts action, but they didn't. They just had a whole lot of talking about the World Title Series, and throughout the show, there were snippets of an interview with Dixie Carter. So yeah, that wasn't great. I'm glad that's changing next week, but, you know, it's getting harder and harder to kind of look past the missteps and the nonsense and see the good stuff. But that's what I'm here to do, and I'm gonna do my very best to do so. And it's a little bit easier for me just because the matches that we did get were excellent matches. Across the board, all 4 matches were good. Predictable, yes, but even so, the way they came about to those results was decent. I think they did a great job making the predictable losers look good in the process. Getting started on that, we opened up with Lashley versus Mahabali Shera. And I thought maybe that would have been a main event. It makes sense that it wasn't, just because Shera is not on that level. But it was another power versus power, just 2 bulls locking horns kind of match. And both guys did incredibly well. It was very back and forth. It made Shera look like he could have been on Lashley's level if he just had that experience and tenure in the company, I suppose you could say. So, yeah, Lashley won. He's advancing to the Final 4. And, yeah, between the 2 guys, that's the right choice. I still don't think Lashley should be there. I still think it should be Drew Galloway. But, you know, we're here. This is what we've got. It's not a bad thing by any stretch of the imagination. The next match we had was Tigre Uno versus Eric Young. Another foregone conclusion. Tigre Uno made it farther in this thing than he should have, in my estimation. But, you know, if it had been Tigre Uno or Gail Kim, like I said earlier, the result would have been the same. Eric Young advances. And EY looked great in this match. I think he played the hilt very well, or the heel to the hilt very well. Insulting Tigre Uno's honor, calling him a coward, mocking his wrestling, and all of those tried and true shticks that he does incredibly well. And the wrestling was great besides. Moving on to the next match, Jesse Goddard versus Matt Hardy. Again, Jesse lost, but he looked great in this match. A lot of great psychology, focusing the majority of his offense on Hardy's back, and trying to set up that Adonis crab. I really enjoy that guy's work, and, you know, to be honest, I really wish we could have some sort of reality where Jesse Goddard and Eric Young face off to have a match. That would just be an incredibly entertaining heel versus heel match. Eric Young trying to set up for the pile driver, Jesse trying to work over EY's back to set up the Adonis crab. That would be an incredibly interesting match. We're not going to get it anytime in the near future, but I mean, hopefully down the line that's something we can see. Moving on to the main event, EC3 versus Davey Richards. For all the bad things that I've said in the last couple of weeks about the World Title Series, this is one thing I cannot say a single negative thing about. This was a phenomenal main event. The speech each man gave beforehand about EC3 saying, this is the end of the road, you did great getting this far, but no Wolf is going to beat a winner. And yeah, the Wolf didn't beat the winner, but this is the sort of match that really makes you wonder why Davey Richards hasn't had more of a singles career in TNA yet. I really enjoy the Wolves. They're a great tag team. Excellent tag team. One of the best going right now. But, Davey Richards used to compete in singles competition in ROH and on the Indies all the time. He was a world title contender for many years. And people that haven't experienced that, have only been watching TNA or the WWE, I think this would have given them that sort of experience, that sort of reason to question why this man isn't contending for the world title on a regular basis. Davey Richards isn't exactly a heavyweight, but he can certainly hold his own with the best of them. And, man, I said it before, this match had a foregone conclusion, but the way they came to that conclusion was simply marvelous. So the final four, that leaves us with EC3 versus Lashley, and Eric Young versus Matt Hardy. And we are going to see the semifinals as well as the finals in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania on January 5th, live for the TNA's debut on Pop TV. Next week, we are getting those contenders, those four men, meeting face-to-face one last time before that happens. Also, we have two matches to look forward to, and that is the men of Group Future 4 and Group X Division facing off in an 8-man tag. That should be a fun match. The X Division athletes and the Future 4 athletes, all guys I enjoy watching. I really couldn't say how that one's going to play out. I imagine, since Group Future 4 is rather heel heavy, and Group X Division has been... There aren't any real heels in that group right now. Manic played the heel quite a bit. But aside from that, in the current environment where Manic is more of a face after leaving the Revolution, I think this is going to be one of those feel-good matches where the good guys win. So that's the best prediction I can make based on what really is sort of a chaotic matchup. And also, we are getting a fatal four-way between Rockstar Spud, Mr. Anderson, Bobby Roode, and Eddie Edwards. Again, really couldn't predict with any accuracy who's going to win this match. It's tempting to bet on Roode, just because he is the highest profile of those four wrestlers. It's also tempting to give the nod to Spud, just because he is the ultimate underdog. If there's any environment where he can win, it's one as chaotic as a fatal four-way. So, that should be fairly interesting, if nothing else. Really, that brings us to a close here on Fans Talk TNA. And I just have a question for you guys. Y'all have been hearing me talk about the World Title Series for the past several weeks now, and I'm interested in what you guys have to say about it. What have you thought of the World Title Series thus far? Do you think the end result, which I'm forecasting to be EC3 versus Matt Hardy, and I'm getting the suspicion that Matt Hardy is going to win, does that result, or any end result of EC3 versus Matt Hardy, does it make up for any missteps that were made in the course of the tournament? Like, no knockouts advancing beyond the round of 16, or Lashley beating Drew Galloway. Anything of that nature. Are there decisions made that you did not enjoy? Do you think somebody should have gone, or come out of the round of 32 and advanced in the tournament that didn't? Just let me know anywhere where you experience this. Let me know on Twitter, on the Facebook group, in the G Plus community. Just give your thoughts and how you think the World Title Series will wrap up. Any fallout you think is going to come from that. Anything. This podcast family couldn't be happening without the support of our Patreon subscribers. That is our squared circle of trust. If you'd like to get on that action, help us keep things running, and get a bunch of fun perks in the process, head over to fanstalktna.com, click on that big green button up at the top, and find out how you can help with just $1 a month. This is Nick. I'll be back next week, and I hope you will be as well. Take care, y'all.
Now let's go.
Fans Talk TNA is part of the Fans Talk podcast family and can be found at fanstalktna.com. The Fans Talk podcast family is a subsidiary of Tiger Creative, LLC.